Let's say hello for the very first time to a young man who is the youngest fighter on the UFC roster. He is just 20 years young. He won on the Contender Series last year. They put him on this developmental deal. He's 9-0-1, won his UFC debut on Saturday against Daniel Teymur. It was an unbelievable back and forth war, ups and downs. But in the end, the teenage dream himself, Chase Hooper, not the man who created Facebook, Chase Hooper, the youngest fighter on the UFC roster, emerged victorious. And there he is. Chase, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. Neck's a little sore. Teymur tried to rip it off, but other than that, I'm doing good.
Well, congratulations on your first win of the UFC, and it's great to have you on the show. Okay, so let's start right there. That guillotine choke, which was a little bit uncomfortable to watch because you were moving all over the place, gyrating, and then you used the cage as leverage to try to get out of it. How tight was that, and how close were you to actually tapping out?
I kind of knew that there was no way I was gonna tap. I was either gonna go out or die before I tapped. But it was more just kind of crushing my neck. It wasn't like it wasn't choking so much as just like squeezing. But he's pretty jacked. He was a lot bigger and stronger than I thought he'd be, and he definitely had a pretty good hold on it.
And so this has become a little bit of a theme for you, right? Like you win the fights, but you do often find yourself in a little bit of trouble early on. How do you avoid this kind of scenario moving forward in your career?
I think I'm a little bit of a slow starter sometimes, but I definitely try to have pretty hard warm ups, and I think that usually helps a little more. Like my last fight before my UFC debut for Titan, I had probably like 3 hours to warm up, and I went in there and finished him pretty quick.
So you're saying having more time to warm up actually helps you as opposed to slows you down?
Yeah, I feel like I'm really not warmed up until I kind of have hit my second wind. Um, I like to kind of do the Dominic Cruz style of having like a whole fight before the fight.
Okay, interesting. And in this particular case, you did not have that luxury.
Yeah, I'd say it was probably about an hour, but
Okay.
we still got a good warm up in.
Now the finish was phenomenal to watch as well because you had the mounted triangle and you were just raining down the elbows and the shots. Is that a particular technique that you work on? I mean, you have a very long body, so it seems like your legs would help in a case like that. Was that something that you actually worked on for this fight or just in general?
Uh, I'd say that's a big part of my jujitsu like style is trying to utilize my length as much as I can. I use the mounted triangle position a lot, and I prefer it to the regular like mount because I feel like it's so much easier for guys to like bridge and scramble out. But when I just have like the guy's head in his arm, there's not much he can do.
First UFC event now under your belt. Of course, you fought on the Contender Series, but that's not quite like a UFC pay-per-view, especially a big one like this one, T-Mobile Arena, the glitz and glamour of Las Vegas. What was the experience like for you? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was a great time. I enjoyed all of it. Pretty much from the walkout to the entire fight, like I was smiling my whole way out, and rather than being like super nervous, obviously I didn't want to get beat up, but yeah, I felt great about it, and I had a really good time in Vegas.
20 years old, youngest fighter on the roster. I'm wondering, when did you start to actually dream of becoming a UFC fighter? When did this all start for you?
I started doing jujitsu when I was 8 years old, so probably about 12 years into this. And yeah, I just kind of stuck with it. But I actually got to watch my coach when he was in the UFC. I was probably about 11 when I watched his UFC debut. He also debuted in Vegas, so that was pretty cool to be able to kind of have that like come full circle. But I've been kind of chasing this dream for a long time. Um, I really kind of buckled down probably at around 16. I won the IBJJF Pan Americans. I got first in my division, and I got second in the open weight for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And that's kind of when I figured out, like, hey, I'm pretty decent at competition. I'm good at dealing with the stress, and I like it. So maybe I'm gonna try to pursue this.
And your coach, by the way, Jeff Hoagland, who was in your corner on Saturdays, fought the likes of Gilbert Melendez and Takei Mizugaki, fought in UFC back in the day as well. So great to have a veteran like him in your corner. And I'm wondering, did you talk about being 16 years old and focusing on this dream? Seriously, did you graduate high school?
Yeah, I did. My senior year, I actually did it's called the Running Start program in Washington. I'm sure it's different everywhere else, but essentially, I was taking like college classes, so that I could fulfill my high school credits, at like the local community college. But that kind of, I was able to take all those classes online and kind of work around the schedule so I could dedicate myself to training. And I think that was a huge help. It gave me like a whole extra year of not having to waste 6 hours a day.
How did your family feel about this when you told them that you wanted to become a pro MMA fighter?
Uh, they were pretty supportive. I feel like I kind of had been doing it for a while. Like I've been doing jujitsu competitions, and it was kind of the natural progression of things. It wasn't necessarily just like one day I wanted to do MMA. It was kind of a slow build, like just a natural progression. I started doing local jiu-jitsu tournaments, then bigger ones. Then I wanted to do like kickboxing smokers, and then kind of went from there.
I mean, obviously, you probably get a lot of comments about your look, right? Because you don't look like your typical MMA fighter, and the Jesse Eisenberg jokes, and you kind of play into it as well. When you tell people that you're an MMA fighter, I don't know if you're meeting them here or there, do you get a lot of comment like, okay, no, but honestly, what do you do, or where do you go to school? Do most people not believe you initially?
Yeah, definitely. Most people just think I'm some, college kid probably, but like I've had for other fights, like people will just assume that my coach is the fighter and not me. But because he's a little more rugged than I am, I guess, a little more beat up. But yeah, I think it works. It lets me stand out from the crowd. So many people just look like dudes with facial hair that are jacked with tattoos, and it's like, what's different about you? Not much. So you got to kind of find your way to stick out. And for me, it's I look like a weird dude, which I am a little bit, and I try to embrace that.
When you say that, and by the way, do you mind centering yourself?
Oh yeah, I'm
Do you
sorry.
see do you see yourself a little bit to
Yeah,
the
I got you.
there we go. You say you are a weird dude. You're owning up to this. How so?
Uh, I guess not so much. Not too weird, but I just play video games all day. I try to take naps as much as I can. I
That's not
look
very weird.
more like eh, it's more what people want to do. I look more like a tech support guy or like a college tutor or something,
Yes.
And the thing is, I could probably help people with their tech problems, and I could probably help them with their math.
And you're okay with that,
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to keep my brain as good as I can, so you know, I'm gonna definitely work on the not getting hit as much.
right? Do you think it helps you when your opponent sees you for the first time and they're like, "Oh, this guy, this is like, you're fighting a 30-year-old guy. He's like, this is going to be a walk in the park."
Definitely, I think most people overlook me because of my age, and they probably get more confidence when they see how young I look and how like skinny I am and awkward. But yeah, I don't really show up until the night of the fight. I try to be pretty casual about everything up until then, and I think that that lets guys overlook me, but that plays into my favor.
Speaking of your age, your nickname is the Teenage Dream. Are we sticking with it even though you're no longer a teenager?
So drop the teenage part, and it's just the dream now. I
Oh,
don't want any cases with the FBI or anything.
right, right.
I don't want to get investigated.
Okay,
But if Reebok wants to make some Teenage Dream throwback tanks or something, I'm down.
okay. Who gave you that nickname initially?
I think it was like my coach and my teammate Joey Perotti, who's now signed to ONE FC. He's a welterweight. Uh, but it's more just because I don't really like fit the name, I guess. But I am like I live the lifestyle that so many people that were like my age wanted to live. I just get to travel around and fight and make money for it. not have to have a job and just kind of lounge around all day. But yeah, also because I'm not really like I'm not as cool as the name implies.
Right. So it's a bit of an ironic nickname, if you will.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure your friends think you're the coolest, though, right? I mean, do you get a lot of support from them? Do you have any friends?
I have a lot of. I'd say a lot of more of my friends are training partners. Like I don't have a lot of friends outside of the gym anymore because it's just the nature of the game. It just takes so much time away.
Right.
Um, like since I was 8 years old, I've been sacrificing pretty much everything for this goal. Like I wouldn't hang out with some of my friends from school because like, oh, sorry, I got to go do jujitsu. But there I am at like 12 years old. It probably doesn't matter, but to me it did at the time, and I'd say it's worked out so far.
And by the way, what's with the infatuation with M&Ms?
I don't know. I'm just sugar is kind of my vice, I guess. Sugar and caffeine, and peanut M&Ms are probably just the one thing that I like the most,
Okay, so that's the number one for you, peanut.
for
What's the
sure.
top three? Peanut.
Peanut. I like the mini M&Ms,
Oh, interesting.
not the regular ones.
Right.
They're
It's
pretty bad. I'd say
interesting.
number three probably pretzel. The pretzel
Pretzel.
M&Ms. I just had them last night.
Wow. Did you go
Gave
to
them a
the
second
M&M
try.
store in Vegas?
I was trying to, but it was too wild. Like
Hmm.
I just kept getting stopped by like lines of people,
Really?
and yeah, I wasn't used to that. But I guess I'm somewhat recognizable, like a
Yeah.
skinny little weird kid,
Right.
especially with the UFC bag.
Okay. Wow. And Ben Askren also has taken a liking to you.
Yeah, he's been great about you know giving me some shout outs, and I try to play along with it,
Yes, it's
have fun with
wonderful.
that.
It's great to see that emerge. Have you ever met him?
No, I haven't. We'll see. We'll see if he invites me out to do some wrestling or something.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd love to see that. The two Afros going toe to toe. Well, congratulations on a very successful debut, a very entertaining fight. I know you probably didn't want it to be that entertaining, especially early on, but it was very memorable and great to see you get out of that and eventually the finish in the first round. And very much looking forward to seeing your career progress from here on out. So enjoy it. Happy holidays. And again, congratulations on an amazing debut.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. There he is, Chase Hooper, a.k.a. The Dream. No longer the teenage dream, just the dream. Successful debut, youngest fighter on the roster, and definitely a name to keep your eye on. Won the developmental deal, so he went out and after Contender Series fought for a couple different promotions, then gets the call-up and defeats the veteran Daniel Teymur, now on a 3-fight winning streak, is Chase Hooper. Hello, everyone. It's Ariel Helwani. I just came here to thank you for watching our ESPN YouTube channel. It's the best. You know what else is the best? The ESPN app. You can get highlights, analysis, all that stuff and more. And if you want premium content and live streaming sports, there's only one place for all of that. It's ESPN Plus.